What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good morning. Good morning. We'll wait just a few minutes we'll wait like one more minute to get everyone coming in, and then we'll get started. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Yeah, you noticed I upgraded the webcam. There's a nice border around it. You guys like it? I think it looks pretty cool. Over the weekend, I got the trading view layout made a little bit cleaner for the stream. I don't usually use trading view when I'm actually trading. Yeah, I don't use that trading view when I'm actually trading, so I thought, just kind of clean it up, make it look a little bit nicer for the stream, and kind of visualize it a little bit better. So what do you guys think? The borders are cool. All right, so let's get started. So obviously ONVO is ripping right now. Let me pull up the daily gainers. Okay, so ONVO is one of the top runners on the day so far. Now, I was watching it, right, when it was around here. I was watching ONVO on the 1 minute chart. I didn't have this zone at the time. Now, what I was looking for, I was like, okay, well, right, this is a freshly running stock. We're pretty close to open. Maybe we can see a pop. I was so I went to the weekly, right? I was watching it around this area. So I went to the weekly, and I was like, okay, what is it? Where's the support at, right? Where's some support that we can kind of continue, right? So if there was an area of support, for example, right here, we crack below, right? We reclaim it and then start to hold on the daily. So I was thinking, hey, maybe if I look for a support level on the daily that we have reclaimed after this massive move up, we could be setting up for something nice, right? But I didn't find really any support except down to these levels, 105 from where we actually started bouncing, right? So I was like, okay, interesting. Now let me just mark out my resistance. So I marked out my resistance right here. All right, I marked out my resistance. And I see that 140 area, right? 139, 140 area is pretty big. And you guys can see that it aligns with this bottom right here. This resistance aligns with this right here. So now if we go drop down to the smaller time frame, we can see that we have resistance, right? Well, initial thoughts were, okay, we get a pop into resistance, we break over it. We have a wick here, right? We have a wick right here. So I'm thinking that all these wicks are going to reject, right? We have rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, rejection here. But one thing I saw after this rejection and after this rejection was that we didn't make a lower low, right? So what is trends, right? A trend would be this right here, a high, and then a lower high, and then a lower high again, right? Once we break that lower high trend, we now switch from lower high to break of structure kind of over this, right? Grab some liquidity and then switch, right? We start going higher low, right? Ready to break this demand zone. Does that make sense? So the trend flipped here. Trend completely flipped. Does that make sense on trends? You guys see that? So we have a downtrend and then we flip the trend. Also, one thing to notice is that so as soon as the trend flipped, then we broke out, right? That's one thing to notice. Now, another thing to keep in mind is this lower wick right here. This lower wick before we broke out. So if we go back to the weekly chart, we're going to look for an area that we can have either support hold or just resistance turn into support, right? If there's no support holding, then obviously resistance into support. So we go to the weekly, and then we see that, okay, the zone that we have drawn out intraday turns out to be a zone on the weekly too. The first line that we drew was at 139, and then we have these wicks here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to mark that zone out. Upper wicks, candle close, right? This is our zone. This is our resistance zone on the weekly, okay? Now what's happening, we can take this one away. Now what's happening is that initially it was a resistance zone, right? But once we broke over it, now it flipped into a support zone. That makes sense? So, like you guys can see right here, if we rejected it initially, then it would have been like that, right? Lower highs. Little like that. Okay? But because we broke over it, right? Now we grabbed all the liquidity here, all the liquidity that's sitting here. Now we pull back, grab liquidity, and then start to set up again. That's exactly what happened on ONVO. Okay. All right, so I hope that's clear about trends. So now what we would be looking for on ONVO is, let's go back to the weekly. What are we looking for? Right, so that was how we found these levels. We're at 158 right now. Like we said, we're going to look for support now, right? So we have resistance turn into support. Now what we're looking for is continuation of this play. So now, previously at this time, we didn't have any support levels in our area. Now we have this. First thing I noticed is this wick right here, this wick right here. These are all leftover buy orders or areas where buyers are going to step back in, right? This is areas where buyers are going to step back in. So simply draw this out, right? We don't want to have the zone like insanely big, because then there's really no bias. Like I can have my zone this big, right? This is all a buy zone. Then I start adding at 150 and add down to 109. Like I'm already, like what's my take profit? 250? Doesn't make sense, right? And I see a lot of people. I do see some people, not a lot, but some people that do trade with some crazy zones. So just wanted to let that be known. And then price targets would be in these high volume zones. So 175, this would be a price target. This would be a PT. That would be a PT. All right. And then up to here would be a PT. 207. But we would look for entries off of this area now. Kind of like this wick. This area. And so far, that's what's happening. So I would want it to come down, hopefully to that lower 148. Hopefully to that 148, right? Kind of fill that wick down here, get all the liquidity. Sorry. So now, what was the trend earlier? Let's check this out. So, all right, we're rejecting this 175. We grab liquidity here. Now, what do we want to see on ONVO for the next leg, right? We already grabbed liquidity over this 175. Now, in order to get to this 207, what we want to see is consolidation in the zone, crack below, grab liquidity from the downside, step back up, and then hit this 207. But we need, since shorts grab liquidity already, right? They grabbed all the stop loss orders. We need longs to do that, right? We need longs to do that in order to make that move back up. That makes sense? So because they did it, right? Now they have they have the power, just like earlier. If you look earlier, shorts had the power, right? This was the trend. High, lower high, and then lower high, and then we broke out of the trend and then started flipping higher low, higher low, higher low, and then we broke out. Right? So same thing. We're going to have lower high, until we eventually grab liquidity and then break out. That makes sense? All right, I hope that makes sense. Now let's move on to SNGX. Now what's going on here? Same thing. What do we talk about? Lower high, lower high, lower high. Right here. SNGX, lower high. Every single time. So we have a high. It's black and white. The white is buying volume. White is buying volume, same as green. Black is selling volume, same as red. So white is green. Black is selling pressure. When it comes down, it's black. So what you guys want to notice is the high here, and then the fall. Like we did not break out of highs here, right? So this tells you the trend, right? Because we've been making new highs. We've been making new highs over here, higher low, higher low, higher low, right? What's over here? Low, higher low, higher low, higher low, and then we crack below it, and then we switch trend right here. Maybe we got room all the way back up to like this 86, up into this level. Anyway, but now we're breaking out, right? Now we made a double bottom, right? We made a double bottom again after making this. So we had a high, lower high, lower high, and then we finally broke out. Before we broke out, you guys can see that we have a double bottom, and then we have a higher low again, right? So this is when the higher low starts. So now what are the best pullback entries into this zone, into this level? Probably right here, because this would be the biggest confluence where they meet, right? If they can just consolidate into here, grab liquidity, and boom. Probably back up to this 87. All right, just based off trend lines. Now let's go to the daily chart. Let's see it on the daily chart. Which levels are holding? Where's the support at? Where's the resistance at? We'll get rid of these for now. All right. Now, what's something that we talked about on the last stock? We talked about having either previous support or just resistance turn into support, right? So right now we have this support right here. First thing I see off the bat is this big support. So I'll draw that out. Maybe we'll see a continuation. So we have support here. What I would look for, probably final PT has room to. All right, so this line would be PT 73, and then I wouldn't mind up to here, these levels. This is what I think that we can do. Right, so obviously 73, first level, we're already rejecting. Didn't even know that. You guys can see 73, which is the high volume key level. That's rejecting right now. So once we reclaim 73, on the daily chart, what do you think we're going to? Probably back up to the next high volume level, right here. And then once we break over 103, we have room back up to 197, right? That's just saying what we have room to. right? Maybe. Maybe. But based off right now, we're rejecting 73. So we want to see pullbacks into this zone, reclaim 73 and make that move up. So on the intraday chart, what does that look like? What does that look like for us on SNGX? Well, obviously, right now we're holding this key level perfectly, right? We've double bottomed here. We're holding. We started making higher lows again, so we're starting to break out. We can add our trend lines again. All right, we broke out of here. We're starting to uptrend. Right, and you guys can see that we're making this level support now. Right, so a lot of one thing I do want to go over. One thing I just explained within the past 10 minutes is very basic concepts, right? Is very basic, like higher lows, market structure, using support and resistance, using high volume key levels, right? But that's what makes money. That's what actually makes money. Keeping your chart clean and simple. So what do you like? You think having 20 different indicators is going to do anything? No, because this is a fact that volume price analysis is the only way to trade. Now there obviously supply and demand, that everything comes back to volume price analysis. Indicators are lagging, but indicators are obviously an indicator, right? So you don't depend on it, but it helps you guide. So you have your bias based off the intraday chart, and then you can have an indicator for more confluence. Like for example, if I have a 20 EMA indicator riding along with me on this uptrend, then obviously more confluence, right? If I have a dip down and the EMA is holding, I'm ready to hold for this breakout a little bit more, right? So it gives me more confluence, but it doesn't mean too much, right? It shows you, it helps you identify the trend, but it doesn't guarantee anything. So I see a lot of traders simply like, it's off the 50 EMA, let me take an entry, without even looking at the market structure. What if we're in a downtrend, right? What if we're in a downtrend and there's a 50 EMA right here and it's lagging because it hasn't updated? It can't read market structure, so it's not going to just jump down here. Can't read market structure because so far everyone thinks we're in an uptrend, but EMAs don't catch the top. This volume right here, see this volume? Let me tell you guys something. This volume right here, you can tell it's a top. There's resistance, okay, from the daily chart. There's a big volume, and there's not a single penny move over this level, right? With this amount of volume, with the most volume on the day, we should have at least triple of this move. Does that make sense? At least triple the move. But there was no move. Okay? So that tells us, hey, this is the top. But anyway, very simple concepts. I hope you guys understood it. And then just trade off based off these zones and see how it does. Right? This is what we're going to be looking for, 63, 62. And just pullbacks into this level, sell into this level. Right? So we want to see 73 become support for 103. Okay? LGVN. LGVN. Now I think when I first saw the chart, I went to the daily and I was like, okay, well, there's nothing I can really base my trades off of, right? There's really no support in this area. There's nothing. So I mean, except if I go down here, right? Maybe some leftover buys. You can mark that out. But my key level, the first thing that I noticed, right? The first thing that I noticed was, hey, there's a massive wick right here. There's a massive wick right here. And then we have a break over this wick, right? So we have a massive wick and then a break over this wick. So this tells me, hey, if we end up kind of rejecting this level again, look, this is going to become a what? A head and shoulder pattern. There's a fat wick here. That means these sellers don't just completely disappear, right? They're just gone for the time being. So sellers here, breakthrough, we grab their stop losses, right? We raid their liquidity, whatever. Pull back into this level, get a nice trade opportunity, and make that move up. Right, let's do a candle by candle analysis. Now we pull back into this level once again. Obviously, we grabbed their liquidity earlier. We have buyers step in again. Decent move, right? Massive volume, biggest volume on the day. So we should have had a move way bigger than this, right? Based off volume price analysis. If we have candlestick this big on this little volume, this much volume should have double the candlestick, right? Like all the way back up to high day. But obviously, there's some sellers up here, right? So now we're going to mark that out. There's some obvious sellers up here. All right, we got stacked on. That makes sense. This volume price analysis is king. So you guys can see that we got stacked on, pulled back into this, and then we have just this zone remaining now from the daily, right? So because we now broke under this, we're gonna now flip into resistance. So what I'm thinking here is that we had resistance, flip into support, got weaker, support. Now we're gonna flip back into resistance. We're gonna reject, grab liquidity, and then pull back into here, and then take its time. And then I don't know, maybe it could do that, maybe, right? But I'm not sure. So we would have to wait for that market structure, right? Because what did we talk about? The basics, the fundamentals. Who's in control? Right there. Right, so we have high, lower high again. And let's see if we can come back to the daily and then start making daily key level and start making kind of basing and then making a lower high and then higher lows. That makes sense? You guys can see that SNGX worked perfectly from this trend line, right? So we have resistance. You guys understand this? How market structure work? Can I get a yes in chat? If you guys understood exactly what happened here. High, lower high, broke out of that trend, pulled back into the trend line, and then made that move up. Does that make sense? Let me know in chat. All right, I'm glad it makes sense, guys. I'll do one more before I do have to hop on live with the team. We'll go over TPEP because this is a stock that fits the theme, right? So what are we looking at? Just zooming out on the bigger picture. This is the 1 minute, so I'm just kind of getting a bigger picture view. Okay, so based off like the 1 minute, just kind of zooming out, we have all this action, right? All this loads, and then boom, dump right here. Straight dump right here. Right? So what do you do off this dump? Now, wherever this dump started, I guess, well, this is where it ended. Started right here with the lowest volume. You want to look for this area to flip into support. All right, one thing I do want to go over. Volume price analysis for one more freaking time. What did we just talk about on the previous stock? You guys saw that buyers got trapped, right? If there was a lot of volume, there should have been a massive move, right? So let's go back to SNGX. If there was a lot of volume, there should have been a big move. But this tells us, hey, buyers are getting trapped. Same thing with what? LGBN. If there's a lot of volume, there should be a big move, right? Big volume, big move. That should be what happened. But obviously that's not what happened, and buyers got trapped. That makes sense? So now let's look at TPET. That was for buyers. Same thing happens for sellers. All the sellers, look at that volume right here at the bottom though. It's not that the selling pressure came in at the open. It's that the selling pressure came in at the bottom. So that means they were fully unloading their shares, and this whole move got soaked up. Everything got soaked up here. This was so much volume compared to everything. Like this is more volume than everything combined here, right? And all that volume at the bottom of the day, so all that was buying pressure. They got trapped. Same thing. So now what you want to look for is just this area in general, this gap right here to flip into support. So I would, this is when I would draw a gap, right? This kind of gap in general. There's going to be leftover. This is when buyers are going to be looking to step in. This is where buyers are trying to come in, right? And that's exactly what's happening so far. Kind of holding this trend. You guys can see. What are we seeing? Now, TPEC, we can get a big move. Why is that? We have support now. Boom. Sellers trapped. Squeeze them. Sellers come in. Trapped. Squeeze them. So now into open, what could easily happen with TPEC? You guys see volume price analysis right here. A lot of sellers come in at support. Kind of squeeze them out. A lot of sellers come in. Squeeze them out. Now, we need to focus on market structure. Right? So obviously we have a high here. We have a lower high here. And then kind of break out of that lower high. We have a bottom here with this high volume candle, right? High volume candle. That's key. Sellers got trapped, buyers came in. And now we switch trend. This is our trend. So this is what we would look for on TPET. Even give it a little bit more room. I think that's too extended. The incline is too heavy. But yeah, overall, this is what we'd be looking for. Kind of squeeze out the shorts that are, this just tells me that, hey, buyers are soaking this thing up. And then I would have another kind of demand zone to buy right here. I think this is a good demand zone just based off like this bullish engulfing candle, right? This just tells me, hey, we switched trend here. Same thing right here, right? Switch trend. Lots of selling pressure, switch trend. So this was the double bottom that we wanted. So bigger picture, I think TPET is going to make a nice move. Now, why is that? So let's just kind of go over that structure once again. We have a big move up, right? We make a high. Our trend switches initially right here, right? Initially right here, we have a high, lower high, lower high. We break out of that trend. Right, we hit a bottom here, we break out of that trend. Now we come back, we make a double bottom, right? We make a double bottom, and then we start to flip trend again, right? So now we broke out of here. We're just kind of in this range now, but I think TPET should be able to just easily break out and just continue this on a bigger picture scale. I think that's what TPET's going to do. And as we're speaking, TPET's breaking out. RVSN just had news. Would you look at that, TPET? Anyway, I hope you guys are learning something from the stream. We had a nice kind of basic understanding of market structure. I hope you guys learned something. Any questions before? Any questions? But does that make sense to you guys, how market structure works? You guys understand it? Just basic, right? But most traders don't use the fundamentals because the fundamentals are fundamentals for a reason. Right? This is the fundamental lane. Straight path to fundamentals. Everyone wants a little shortcut, right? Let me put my own. Let me just grab a shortcut, and they go away from the fundamentals, and fundamentals is what makes you money. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. I will be dropping a YouTube video on volume price analysis very soon, either today or tomorrow. So make sure to stay tuned. Have those notifications on. Make sure you guys subscribe. One thing to remember, you guys can see the link right here to join premium, right? mmlinks.co/7days. Or you guys can click the link in the description. 7-day free trial. Come live trade with me right now. We have 7 minutes until market open. Check it out. You guys like it? We have a full course for you. We have educational content. We have classes. We have options. We have everything that you need in order to become a successful trader. We have the scanners that you need. Chat room is active all day. So everything that you need to become successful, we have it there for you. So if you're an actual serious trader, right? If you're actually serious and you're willing to put in the work, all the resources are here for you. I'm here to mentor you. We have other mentors here, always ready to help you guys out. So check that out. I'm about to hop on live trading right now. Top link in the description, or just you guys can see in the frame right here. Other than that, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Peace out.